Hi there, Sam here. If it's your first time here, then I'd like to give you a warm welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. I hope you enjoy the story today. A fair bit has happened since my last journal entry, and so, driven by recent events, I've decided I should complete my account of what happened to me 3 weeks ago. I'll work my way forward from that day up till now. Of course, it would be far too tedious of a task to catalogue every single thing that's happened, but I will do my best to document the most impactful and bizarre here. I also thought it would be wise of me to write my reasons for documenting all of this, so that whoever ends up reading it will know why. The trouble is, I've sat here for several hours now, trying to think as seriously as I can about why I'm writing this. The best I can come up with is that I'm hoping someone out there will tell me I'm not crazy, that anyone at all will be able to relate, at least in some part, to the things I'm writing. Because in truth, I'm starting to doubt myself. I'm uncertain if my memories are even based on true events, or if perhaps they're just products of my deteriorating mind. With that aside, let me again take you back to that night that the sky seemed to rain without restraint. Just as a brief reminder, I had gotten home from work and put leftovers in the microwave. When the microwave finished heating up the food, I went to go get it. I opened the microwave and to my surprise it was empty. Now, you may find my repetition redundant, but please, bear with me for a while. I was immediately suspicious. Then I noticed that the front door was wide open, which drove my suspicion and anxiety to their limits. I sprinted to the front door, shut it, locked it, and then I just stood there. My fear turned me into a living mannequin as I froze. After all that had taken place, I had just shut the front door and locked it. I now leaned against it. I heard the ding of the microwave for a second time that evening. This made no sense to me. I had left it open, hadn't I? At this point, I had all sorts of unanswered questions in my mind, and my heart was now rattling in my chest. There are many people in this world who are foolish enough to live their lives in disbelief of anything that cannot be explained by formulas or experiments. At the time, I was still one of these people, foolish enough to be a skeptic of all things beyond what I could clearly define as real. Because of this, my mind was reluctant to jump to any supernatural or alien explanations for what was happening. And so, for me, in my mind, there was a much greater threat at hand than any ghost. The possibility of someone being in my home is what was at the forefront of my mind. Someone who could hurt me. Someone who would hurt me. If it meant that they would get what they want. If it meant that they would get what I had. I've heard the stories before of suburban families bound in their homes and brutally tortured and killed by home invaders for money. Did this intruder not know that I wasn't one of these wealthy ones? That I didn't have a money tree in the backyard? Did he know? Did he? Well, I hoped he did. I had watched enough true crime movies and shows at this point to know exactly what to do. If I go deeper into the house looking for the intruder, I will die. If I stay inside, I will die. The smartest thing to do then is to call the police and get out of the house. If you can do both at the same time, then all the better. My phone is in the passage, and there was an intruder somewhere in the house. Silence would be paramount. Putting my plan in motion, I walked over to the bookshelf in the passage, my feet gently caressing the ground I walked on as not to alert my unwelcome guest. He no doubt heard me slam the door, and he would likely be on his way here soon. My movements were steady but swift as I grabbed my phone and made my way through the house. Quietly and carefully, I moved to the back door. Each step could have been my last. I begged the floorboards not to creak as I burdened them with my weight. One after the other, they bore my weight in silence, allowing me safe passage and security. The rain, on the other hand, still poured heavily as I opened the door, and that was a help to me in so much as it muffled the squeaking of the door as I swung it open. But this blessed shower from heaven would again be a burden to me. I tried catching my breath as I typed in the emergency services number and stepped out into the downpour and the shadows of the backyard. I hit the dial button as I crept around the house and made my way to the front yard, and then onto the street. The phone began to ring. Once it rang, twice, thrice, and on the fourth ring, someone picked up.
"This is emergency services. What's your emergency?"
said the voice at the end of the line. Please, you must help me. I believe there's someone in my home. My front door was wide open, and the food in the microwave, the footprints in the passage from the rain, the microwave. Please, you must.
Sir, please. You need to compose yourself at once,"
interrupted the voice at the end of the line.
"There is no one in your home."
The accent that the voice spoke with was unfamiliar. The pitch was off, only very slightly off, as if it was two voices at once almost. No. You don't understand, miss, I begged, my voice muffled by the rain I stood in. Did she think I was crazy? Perhaps she had gotten other calls like this before. It's those damn prank callers, I thought. They make them doubt the real emergencies. Ma'am, please, you must do something. I'm fairly certain that I'm not alone in my home.
"Where are you right now, sir?"
I'm standing on the street outside my house. I'm watching the front yard and door in case somebody comes out.
"Sir, listen to me carefully. There is no one in your home. You are alone here."
I don't understand. What do you mean? How would you even know that? Please, you need to send help, I begged again.
"I will do nothing. You do not command me,"
she shot back, her voice cutting bluntly through my pleading.
"I will not be sending help. There is no one in your home. The only person who was in your home was you. Now that you're outside, there's no one in your home."
I cocked my head to the side a bit and I squinted my eyes. Pardon, miss? I asked.
"You have good reason to fear, and so I encourage you to let your heart run wild. But you are alone in this place."
I looked around me, hoping that my neighbors were awake, but to my dismay, all the lights in the surrounding houses were off. Even the outside lights. All that illuminated the world in my view was the street lights and the faint yellow glow coming from my house. I turned to face my house.
"Do you see?"
she snickered.
"You are alone here."
As those words left the phone, my house went dark, all the lights off. Those words, together with the darkness that now lay before me, loosened the grip of my trembling fingers on my phone. It slid out of my hand and tumbled onto the tar below my feet. My mind in this moment was a typhoon of restless thoughts and spiraling anxieties. With every word it had spat out, this voice on the line had poured out a greater measure of fear into my cup, causing it to overflow, and now this ocean of swirling dread threatened to drown me. No, I must be dreaming, I thought, questioning my own lucidity in that moment. The lucid dream is an interesting phenomenon. One becomes aware that they're asleep, aware that they are dreaming. This new knowledge, this new awareness, gives them power. They are now, in part, in control of everything around them. If they please, they may create a world exactly as they wish it to be, where they have everything they could ever want, everything they need. But then, they will dread the moment of waking. for they will return to a world where they have far less power, a world where their surroundings do not bend so easily to their will. I felt like the opposite of a lucid dreamer in this moment, as though I was stuck in a nightmare. What was happening around me made little logical sense to my skeptic mind. That would have been alright on its own. A certain level of chaos and uncertainty is needed in order for the mind to be stable. However, there was something else behind this senselessness. I could sense a cognizant force. These seemingly random events in the sea of strange around me were anything but random. This chaos was focused and controlled almost. I could feel it. I don't really know how else to explain it besides that. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. These words rattled my skull, and as I lifted my hands to the sides of my head, I felt a throbbing, something like a migraine crawling up my spine. As it reached my head, my legs buckled and I stumbled backwards, landing my back on the tar. What's happening? Am I going insane? I thought, as I tried to rationalize all the nonsense that was taking place. In a silent sob, I turned to my side and pulled my knees to my chest. The rain began to calm, almost as if to comfort me. The tar below me, on the other hand, scraped and pricked into my flesh, threatening me to move while my absolute fear held me in place. I have no recollection of what happened after that. When my eyes cracked open, I wasn't curled up on the tar. I was laying in my bed, atop my white bedsheets, with my blanket spread over me as if nothing had happened. As vivid as all this had seemingly been, I was more than happy to assume it was all a dream. This meant that I could disregard it all as nothing, and life could go back to normal. Nothing happened. Oh, how I wish it was a dream. I wish there wasn't a note on the side of my bed when I woke up. I wish I hadn't read that note. I wish I hadn't read those damn words on that damn note. The note I found on my bedside desk had the words, "You are alone here," written across it, or rather typed across it. The piece of paper was shaped like a business card and the words were printed perfectly in the middle of it. It was unsettling. If you live a life that's long enough, then unfortunately you'll come to learn that there are different kinds of fear. The kind of fear that I felt now had changed. It was initially a frantic kind of fear, the kind that causes you to run, the kind that you first felt when you had a nightmare, that time that you ran to your parents' room. This is the kind of reactionary fear that the deer feels when it sees the glints of the wolf's eyes in the bushes, knowing that they've already surrounded it. But this is no longer what I felt. What I feel now is steady. It's not sporadic. It merely hangs in the air, making every breath feel shallow and making every shadow a source of anxiety, and making everything that moves my enemy. Forgive me if I ramble. My thoughts seem to contain less sense as of late. I could not let the events of that night go unrecorded, and so I made my way to the phone in the driveway. My plan was to call the police, but then I saw my phone shattered on the floor. It probably shattered when I dropped it last night. But that's fine, I thought to myself. I've got neighbors. One of them probably has a working phone, I thought. Maybe Miss Alexia's around. She was the neighborhood's nice lady. Everyone knew her as such. When I first moved in, she baked me an apple cherry pie and brought it over. She did the same for anyone who moved into the neighborhood. She was in her mid-60s and retired, so she rarely left home, only venturing beyond those walls when her pantry needed to be resupplied. Knock knock. Miss Alexia, are you home? Silence. That's odd, I thought, taking a moment to acknowledge both how empty the streets were and the fact that Miss Alexia wasn't responding. I knocked again, harder this time, and as I did, the door slid open slightly. Not closed? I wondered. That's not safe at all, I thought, as my mind immediately drifted to the intruder I had recently fallen victim to. At that moment, my only concern was for the safety of the neighborhood's nice lady, whose door had been left open while there were probably dangerous people around last night. I burst through the front door, and I felt a panic fall over me like a sheet let loose from above when I realized that the house was empty. The door opened into the living room, but there were no couches there. No dining room table in the dining room. I ran up the stairs and there was no bed in her bedroom. There was no sign that anyone had ever lived here. I made my way to her bedroom balcony, and I gazed at the house next to hers and saw that the windows had no curtains, just like her house. I felt that panic morph from a sheet over me to a thick duvet. I ran down the stairs and out the front door. Every step towards her neighbor's house was a step filled with dread over what I might find. I burst through the door, which was open as well. The house was empty. That's odd. Did I miss some sort of storm warning or something? I thought, in a vain effort to rationalize nonsense. I wonder. I stepped out onto the streets again, and my theory was confirmed. You are alone here. Those words resonated in my mind, and it became abundantly clear to me what that lady had meant on the phone. Clear what the note on my bedside had meant as well. I was indeed alone here, more alone than I had ever been. I knew this now, because as far as I could see, none of the houses in my street had any curtains. It was a gut feeling that prompted me to turn to face my home where my car was parked in the driveway, my home where the front door was wide open, my home that now had no curtains, my home that was now empty. Hi there, Sam here. I really do hope that you enjoyed that story. If you did, maybe you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Please be sure to leave a comment as well. I'll do my best to get back to every single comment. The question for today is, what would you do if you stepped out of the house and there was no one in sight? You ran around town, but you couldn't find anyone else. What did you guys do? I'm curious to see. Anyways, my Instagram is in the description below. You could follow me there to stay up to date with whenever I'm about to post, and my Patreon is there too. That's a way that you can support the channel. Thank you again for all the support. It's been amazing to know that there's people out there who actually enjoy listening to my work. I hope to continue putting out content for as long as I can. Until next time. Goodbye for now.